The Simpsons has some of the most memorable gags done by the most memorable faces,
Homie, why don't you just go down to Moe's and talk to him? I bet he'd be willing to share some of his success with you.
Nah.
with the most memorable catchphrases.
Marge, I'm too upset to eat. I think I'll go to Moe's.
With almost 30 years on television, the show remains a staple in American culture. So what's the secret that makes the show so legendary?
Easy. Easy.
The secret is balance. The Simpsons had a comedic advantage over every other TV sitcom at the time because it was animated. If it could be drawn, the Simpson writers could make the joke. They could do just about anything, and that made for some hilarious gags. But what makes The Simpsons so great is that the creators chose not to do just about anything.
There's a hardcore rule, which is, there's a lot of cartoons that where the impossible can happen, And you think about a Wile E. Coyote cartoon where he can literally blow up and then come back and he's blackened or he's flattened like an accordion, and it was always made very clear to me that this is a real world. And it gets stretched, obviously. It gets stretched like crazy.
So why purposefully hold back the cartoon jokes?
More. Thank you.
That's the secret behind The Simpsons' success.
At a certain point, it was like, this is not a cartoon. We're making a show that's not a cartoon. It happens to be a cartoon, but it's not a cartoon. Now us youngins, like the goofy cartoon jokes, and as silly as we could be, but the slightly wizened older guys that approach it as a family, and it was, as you say, I think it's genius.
It's through the balance between cartoon gags and realistic portrayals of family life that The Simpsons stands out. The show had the heart and realism of a family sitcom, but the humor of a cartoon. Take Homer's triple bypass surgery. The episode has hilarious gags that could only be done in an animation show.
Mr. Burns, I think he's dead.
Oh dear. Send a ham to his widow.
Ham.
No, wait. He's alive.
Oh good. Cancel the ham.
No!
But the episode is just real enough to have genuinely emotional moments.
Don't worry, Marge. America's healthcare system is second only to Japan, Canada, Sweden, Great Britain, well, all of Europe. But you can thank your lucky stars we don't live in Paraguay.
It's a perfect balance between what's real and what's funny.
What I try to do as my life's work is to bridge the gap between the funny artifice that I saw on TV and what I knew was real. And I think that's partly the success of The Simpsons.
The result is a show that's funny but also has us connect with the characters. What makes Homer such a memorable character is more than just when he's an idiot. The best moments in The Simpsons are when he proves he isn't a caricature and he's actually a caring husband and loving father.
Oh, my little Maggie. I may never hold you again. You stinky pants.
Shows like Family Guy and South Park are really good at providing social commentary and funny gags, but these shows don't have the heart and realism of The Simpsons. The Simpsons has the perfect balance. So whenever The Simpsons has episodes on a specific topic, like politics, marriage, or religion, the episodes typically have sincere lessons along with the edgy jokes and social commentary. The Simpsons discusses these topics with the perfect combination of humor and sincerity. Other animated cartoons focus more on telling the most jokes as possible rather than presenting a lesson, and other family sitcoms oftentimes shove a corny message down your throat. The Simpsons is right in the middle. Take the episode Bart Sells His Soul. The episode is not without its classic Simpsons humor.
But every religion says there's a soul, Bart. Why would they lie? What would they have to gain?
I don't hear scrubbing.
But in between the jokes is a very interesting commentary on religion. Bart sells his soul to Milhouse for $5, and he finds himself empty without it, unable to laugh at his pranks that usually bring him joy. The episode actually has extremely powerful symbolism when Bart, without his soul, is left stranded in an ocean, unable to steer himself in the right direction. The episode has a great wide shot of Bart protesting against spirituality in the barren church, with a heavenly light casting down on him from above and an eerie echo in his voice.
Listen, you don't have a soul. I don't have a soul. There's no such thing as a soul.
Through his spiritual journey, he realizes the value of his soul. The episode conveys the message that one's spirituality is not given by some church or by anyone else. It's created internally. and The Simpsons gives all this philosophical thought in a cartoon. I'm not saying that The Simpsons is the funniest, most thematic, or most realistic show, but what I am saying is that it is one of the few shows to balance each of these three elements almost perfectly. Of course, the glaring unanswered question is, what happened? Just about every Simpsons video on YouTube has a top comment about the show's decline in quality, and while people attribute many factors to the decline of The Simpsons, like bad showrunners, bland storylines, lazy writing, or overused celebrity cameo appearances, I think the declines could possibly be summed up by saying The Simpsons lost its balance. A Slate magazine review of the show sums it up nicely. Episodes that once would have ended with Homer and Marge bicycling into the sunset now end with Homer blowing a tranquilizer dart into Marge's neck.
Thank you.
Even in the new HD opening title sequence, we can see this subtle change in a show that's more cartoon than reality. The majority of television shows never maintain the balancing act The Simpsons accomplished, although that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some shows are mostly to make you laugh or are mostly to make you feel, and that doesn't make them bad shows. But what makes The Simpsons so legendary is that they were able to have the laughter and the heart.